Hey, what up, guys? Doing another What's Next. This one is on former 140-pound champion Ivan Baranchyk. Baranchyk is currently ranked number 10 at 140 right now. That's junior welterweight or super lightweight, whatever you want to call it. He's tied for 10th right now for me. And he's coming off of a knockout win over Gabriel Bracero back in October when he returned from the semifinals of the World Boxing Super Series, where he lost the IBF title, lost for his first time to Josh Taylor, who ended up going on winning the whole thing. So now Baranchyk, nothing concrete on what he's doing next. So the big question is, what's next for Ivan Baranchyk? Let's run through the top 10 and give us the possibilities now. We start with his numbers, where he's ranked in each division. He's only ranked in 2 of the 4 governing bodies, but he's got decent rankings. He's number 5 in the WBC. He's number 4 in the IBF right now, and the IBF currently doesn't have a number 2 challenger. So that's where he's ranked. Let's run through the top 10. We start with a rematch with undefeated and unified world champion Josh Taylor. That's not going to happen anytime soon. He could possibly get himself in line for the IBF title because Taylor is making a mandatory defense against the number 1 contender. There is no number 2. That leaves him and Liam Paro, who's number 3, guy from Australia, and Baranchyk at number 4. So they could fight to become the next mandatory, but that fight probably wouldn't happen for a while because Taylor would probably face off against he's going to face Kong Song, whatever the guy's name is, the number 1 contender next, and then after that he's probably going to take a optional fight, which he has a right to, and then a mandatory would be due after that. But he's still in line for it, and he could end up fighting for a vacant title or an interim belt. So that might make sense for him to get in line for the IBF title at least. But I don't think he's going to get a rematch with Taylor. So that's where I was going with that. Next at number 2 is the undefeated WBC WBO unified champion Jose Ramirez. Now, Baranchyk is currently ranked high in the WBC. He's number 5 over there. So why not get in line to face Ramirez? But he's not going to get Ramirez next is what I'm saying. Ramirez has 2 mandatories due. He's got Victor Postol next. And then following that, he's going to have to make his WBO mandatory against Jack Catterall. And then after that, he wants to go after something bigger. So Ivan Baranchyk, maybe he can get himself in line, but he's not going to get Jose Ramirez next. Next, number 3, former champion Regis Prograis. Prograis looks like he's facing Maurice Hooker next. If Prograis didn't fight Hooker, I think Baranchyk could be possible, but Prograis would probably have to come back down to the full 140. Maybe he could get Baranchyk to move up, but I think Baranchyk wants to fight for a world title. He wants to get in line, probably wants to stay at 140 for now, and I don't think Prograis thinks Baranchyk is a big name because he's not, so I don't think he'd fight him. Next at number 4 is Jose Zepeda, the former world title challenger. Zepeda's ranked number 3 in the WBC right now. Baranchyk ranked number 5. They could possibly go at it in an eliminator to move forward. I could see that happening and possibly even become the number 1 contender at some point. So I could see these guys possibly, because nobody wants to fight Zepeda either, and nobody wants to fight Baranchyk. Maybe they can make a final eliminator and fight each other. I could see that one happening, so I do think that's possible. Number 5, former WBC champion Victor Postol. Postol is number 1. He's got a mandatory due fight with Jose Ramirez next. So this fight will not happen next between these 2 guys. Not going to happen. Next at number 6 is former IBF lightweight champion Robert Easter Jr. Robert Easter just moved up, got himself in line. If Robert Easter wants to go after the title that he held at 135, Baranchyk sitting there, they could possibly get together for a final eliminator. Question is does Easter want to take a chance against a guy of Barancyk's style and his power? I think Easter would stay away from this, so I don't think this one happens next, but it could happen if Easter wanted it. Number 7 is Maurice Hooker, former champion. Probably a fight that could happen, but Hooker's either big fight or title fight. Barancyk's not either one right now. I don't see it. Could happen. Both promoted by the same people, but I don't think it's going to happen. So Hooker is looking at Prograis next. That's probably going to be what happens for him. Next to number 8, former champion Kira Relic. Wouldn't completely rule this one out, but Relic hasn't fought since he got his ass whipped against Prograis in the semifinals of the World Boxing Super Series last year. So I don't think he'd want to take a risk against a guy like Baranchyk next in his comeback fight, especially since it's been almost a year now, and it's going to be well over a year for him by the time he comes back. So, and there's talks of him moving up to welterweight anyway, so I'm not seeing it. Next at number 9, Pablo Cesar Cano. Here's another guy you could get into an eliminator with. Cano's ranked in the top 5 also in the WBC, so possibly these two guys could get into some kind of eliminator and move up the chain. They're both the zone guys. Baranchyk with Matchroom, Cano's with Golden Boy. This fight could be made, but will it get made? That's the big question. You know, I'm leaning towards a no, but I do think it could happen because they're both WBC guys. And then the two guys he's tied for 10th with, first of those two is Rances Barthelemy. I don't think Barthelemi's getting the line for the WBA title. Barancyk's not even ranked there. I don't think Barthelemy wants anything to do with a guy like Baranchyk anyway, so I don't see it. And then Adrian Granados. Man, I would love to see this fucking fight. I think Granados would take the fight if the PBC would work with Matchroom, and it could probably be set up as some kind of final eliminator for the IBF. But for some reason, I just don't see that happening. For some reason, Granados is a stepping stone guy for PBC fighters only, and it sucks because Granados really has a talent to fight for a world title, and Baranchyk and him would burn the house down. I'd love to fucking see it, but probably not going to happen next. So that's it for Ivan Baranchyk, the former world champion, on the top 10 guys. Now, what do I think he's going to do next? Personally, looking at things, the WBC, you don't know with them. The IBF is pretty fucking solid, though. I think Baranchyk, being a former champion, is probably going to go after Liam Paro next, the number 3 guy in the IBF. And the number 1, they don't have a number 2 challenger, and the number 1 guy is currently challenging for the title, so they need a new number 1 contender. I think Baranchyk would at least put himself at number 1, if not make himself the absolute mandatory. And he's probably fighting for an interim title after that, but at least he's putting himself in line for a title shot. And, you know, it could lead him right back to the world title. Might not get a rematch with Taylor, but he could capture the vacant belt or be upgraded. So he just should put himself back in line. And it looks like he's got a direct chance, and he would be the favorite against the undefeated Pyro, who hasn't really fought anybody. So that's what I think Barancyk's going to do next, and he should do next. All right, guys, that's the what's next on Ivan Baranchyk. Hope you enjoyed it. True Boxing. You've been here with the truth.